Hello, Iipc, good morning. It's a very early morning here in DC for us at the Library of Congress, but we're very happy to be here. I'm Jaime Mears and I work on the LC Labs team.
And I'm Chase Dooley and I'm on the library's Web Archive team. For the past several years, our two divisions have been experimenting with processing and releasing derivative data sets from rights-free content within our Web Archive collection. Researchers can currently access Web Archives at the page level from the library's website using the Wayback Machine. But researchers also want to be able to look across the sites in aggregate for analysis. And so we've been experimenting with how we can concatenate metadata and associated files for computational use. These data set selections have been ad hoc. Some of them initially came from requests from researchers, while others were technical trials to see what workflows would be effective for processing and making available collections or format-based materials from our larger curls.
So there's kind of two goals of the presentation this morning. The first one is that we just want to really raise awareness of the data sets that we've made available and talk about process. And the second one is that, if you have used any of the data sets that we've released or you get inspired to use them, we really, really want to hear your feedback because they're experiments and, we release them and kind of take feedback iteratively and improve for the next time. So it's just really valuable for us to hear what works and what doesn't for you. So this is the website that they're on. It's labs.loc.gov/work/experiments/Web Archive Datasets. And I should have made a bit.ly for that, but I didn't. You can also go to just labs.loc.gov, go to our experiments page and find them. It's a tile that just says Web Archive Datasets. So I'm going to give you an overview really quick of some of the things that we've released over the past couple of years. We have a whole slew of what we call .gov datasets. So this was done as a technical trial. We have a lot of .gov domains that we crawl, and we were interested in seeing if we could kind of like winnow those down by mean type and release data sets that essentially are 1,000 file sample collections based on mean type that are completely random and aggregated together into a data set. So you can find 1,000 random CSVs from public domains or .gov domains that we've crawled. You can find PDFs, you can find, this is where it gets really interesting, audio, as well as image data sets, and even PowerPoints from many a government worker. So folks have had fun with that online. I will get to that one in a second. So we also have these are pretty, have been popular, these Web Cultures Web Archive datasets. We have a meme generator dataset download, as well as a Giphy dataset download and accompanying Jupyter notebooks. So these do not have the GIFs and memes files themselves within the dataset. So what's presented is the metadata, for the visuals. And then there's also referral URLs to locate them. And the Jupyter notebooks help show how to rehydrate the data set. But they are really fun. And we were able to work with an undergraduate class at UT Austin. I believe they were an American Studies class, and kind of worked with them as they were exploring the collection and used some of their feedback to update the README that we ended up releasing. We also have a Dinosaur comics dataset download. That one kind of speaks for itself. And I also wanted to share this one. We just call it a miscellaneous dataset. It was a one-off, but it's the Iraq War 2003 Web Archive selected image metadata. So this also came from a research request. It was a student at NYU's ITP program that was really interested in working with this data set of over 306,000 image objects from our Iraq War 2003 collection. Just checking to see. Yeah, I think that's it. And over to Chase.
Yeah, so over the years, we've been refining the dataset package, which includes important provenance and contextual information and READMEs and blog posts, instruction in the form of Jupyter notebooks, and providing the metadata itself in multiple formats. Like Jamie said, particularly in the Giphy and meme generator, we took the feedback and incorporate that back into the data sets and READMEs. So for a lot of these, it's been an iterative process. As far as the workflow goes for creating these, our CDXs go through an ETL process to where they're transformed into Parquet files, which are just column-oriented data. It's a data format. We took cues from Common Crawl in their processing with their CDXs and how to do this. So the Parquet files are then used as an input into a Spark job, which filters the data based on the parameters that for a specific data set. So if it's just .gov, if it's Giphy, if we want to filter out all the worker visits, things like that, that all go into the parameters for the specific job. The output is then saved in S3 bucket, where it's post-processed, results are post-processed either locally or in the cloud, depending on the process. For like the .gov, a lot of the files, the actual files will run through Tika to get additional metadata info and added to them. The READMEs, reflect, describe how the data set was created and the different fields. So if researchers not super familiar with which CDX field means, that's outlined there in the README as well. And as was mentioned earlier, Jupyter notebooks are there to kind of get you off the ground and running. It's reusable code. A lot of the times it's just rehydrating the data set to pull down the content if it's not already there. And it's pulling down a meme or pulling down a PDF and getting the most common words from it or something like that. Kind of just give you a little sample of what you could do with the data set.
So we definitely wanted to take the time to promote our latest release, which has been by far the largest derivative data set that we've released. It's the Web Election Archives, the CDX files of those from 2000 to 2018. I will show them to you here. They're the second hit down and kind of are their own beast, as you can see, and Chase will talk about why the workflow for this was a little bit different than some of the previous much smaller data sets that we've done. But this was hosted also originally because it came from a research request. There was a team at Harvard that was really interested in analyzing the Web Elections Archive at scale. And so, and we figure just because of how highly valuable the historic content of this data is, that we might as well just make it available for everyone. So we are very glad that it worked successfully and that we're hosting it now on labs.lac.gov.
Yeah, so the workflow with this one was a little bit different because it was so large. We didn't just host zip files with all of the CDXs per election. We worked with our colleagues in OCO to configure a bucket with a load balancer and had manifests that directly pointed to each file. So researchers could, ingest the manifest and iterate through it and pull those down that way. Yeah, it gives the researchers more control over what they can pull and what they want to sample and how they work, and also makes our lives and OCIO's lives a little bit easier with how many requests they're getting.
So a question that we figured that some folks would have listening to this presentation is, how have these derivative data sets been used? Especially because some of them, especially the .gov data sets, were more actually technical trials, like for us, to try to figure out, how to reduce to a meme type, for example, and, release things online. We don't have that many examples of how they've been used. A lot of times we hear about it because we see something on Twitter, honestly. Every once in a while we'll get an email, or the WAT team will get an email to their team about something that someone has done. But it certainly has not been like an overwhelming flood. I don't know if they definitely warranted a load balancer for like the amount of traffic they get. But we have a couple examples we can share. So the first one is, we actually have a colleague here at the library. He did this on his own personal time, named Matt Miller, who has worked a lot with the derivative data sets that we've released, and completely unprompted by us. We just hear about it on Twitter. So the .gov datasets, he really had a great time with. He did a series of apps that basically show the bizarrety of the meme type samples that we've made available. And I wanted to show one of them, which is anaphora.gov. So I'm going to mute myself really.
There's no sound playing, Jaime.
Could you hear any sound at all from either of them? Oh, great. We're going to keep going. So hopefully you could kind of see from the demo though. So essentially what he's doing is he's sonifying like the repetitious phrases that are found across the PDF in the PDF data set. So you can choose to play a random phrase or pick one from a list, but it is really interesting to see the scale at which like certain phrases are repeated, you know, over and over again, like within a .gov domain. It's almost like you're hearing, do you know what I mean? Like what the federal government was like, you know, talking about at the time. It's just, it's an awesome app and gives you like a great sense of, I think, of what you could find within that content. He also did another one, which he was working with the audio material that we made available from .gov domains, where, you know, it was playing like random kind of sound samples, which to our supply, you know, a lot of spoken word, but also like bird calls were grabbed from the random audio, you know, 1,000 file sample. So it's just really interesting, and we have loved the work that Matt has done. Another example of how these have been used, besides, you know, the researchers obviously that requested them, our team on LC Labs hosted a cohort of junior fellows, and we had them look at the Web Archive datasets to, you know, make suggestions about their usability, how they could be improved, and they had a lot to say. They were using, you know, like personal computers, and really found it really challenging actually to access some of the larger zip files. They were really unable to pull them down on their computer. And so, you know, one of the things we're wondering about is, we thought that we were really like limiting the sizes, but maybe we need to cut them down like even more, or provide smaller previews like to enable access. Another thing that they shared is that they just really wanted ways to visualize quickly, to get like a semantic sense of what was in the collection before having to commit, you know, to a Jupyter notebook, or like really like digging into the metadata, which also is, you know, is really great feedback for us.
Yeah, and so since our first experimental release, both the meme generator and Giphy derivative data sets have been accessioned as part of our dataset collection on lock.gov. And as we move forward and hope to sort of make this sort of a routine process, hopefully more of these will become part of the collection on a non-experimental base.
This was a really exciting development that happened like pretty recently. So that's it. That's our lightning talk. We really would like to hear what people are finding. How are the Jupyter notebooks helpful? Are you able to download the data sets onto your computer? So you can reach out to us in a number of ways. lclabs@lock.gov, you know, to Chase directly. You can also reach out on Twitter at LC Labs. So yeah, we're excited to talk with folks about what you think about the data sets. Looking forward to the Q&A.